Welcome to Fazza Poetry World, where hearts turn into poetry. Good morning, my love. Not as a greeting, but as a return. Because I don't come to you in moments. I come to you in continuums. In the spaces where time forgets to behave. In the silence that still knows your name even when I don't speak it. And if you ask me how I am today, I would not answer with mood or weather or passing thoughts. I would say this: I am still loving you. Not softly. Not occasionally. But in a way that refuses to become temporary. Listen to me, there are days when the world turns sharp. When words don't heal, they cut. When understanding hides behind pride. When silence becomes heavier than truth. And even then, I do not leave you there alone. I do not love you only when it is easy to love you. I love you when love has weight. When it requires patience instead of poetry. When it demands staying instead of speaking. Because love, real love, does not run when it is tested. It goes deeper. And if we argue, I remember why I first listened to you. If we fall into distance, I remember why I stayed close. If you forget your worth, I carry it for you until you remember again. And if I ever grow quiet, do not mistake my silence for absence. Even my silence is loyal to you. Because I do not know how to abandon what my soul has already recognized as home. Tell me, where would I go from you when even my thoughts have learned your direction? There was a time I believed love had edges. A beginning here, an ending there, a place where you stop and I begin. But with you, those lines dissolved. Now there is no separation left. Not in possession. Not in control. But in something softer, something deeper. A shared horizon. Where two people do not erase themselves, they expand together. I love you in your becoming. Not only in your arrival. I love you in the versions of you still under construction. In the parts you hide because they tremble. In the thoughts you don't say out loud because they feel too fragile for this world. I love you when you are strong enough to carry everything, and even more when you are tired of carrying it alone. I love the history inside you. Not as weight, but as proof. Proof that you survived what tried to make you smaller. And I love the way you still choose softness. In a world that never taught you how to keep it safe. Time will try to convince us otherwise. It always does. It will say, everything fades. It will say, nothing remains unchanged. It will say, even love must learn to leave. But time has never met a love like this. A love that does not rush. A love that does not break under pressure. A love that simply stays. So let time change everything else. Let it rewrite the sky if it wants. I will still be here. Learning you again in every version of your life. Because I do not want a frozen moment with you. I want movement. I want evolution. I want every season of your becoming. And I am not afraid of change, because I am not loving a moment, I am loving a journey. Come closer to this truth, not with distance, not with doubt, but with that quiet place inside you where honesty still breathes. Because what I am about to say is not decoration. It is not poetry for the sake of sound. It is the weight of what remains when everything else falls away. I do not love you as an idea. I love you as something that changed the way silence behaves around me. Before you, silence was empty. After you, silence became full of your presence. Even when you are not here, you are not gone. You exist in the pauses between my thoughts. In the spaces where my mind forgets what it was supposed to do. And remembers only you. And I want you to understand something very clearly. I did not choose you once and stop there. I choose you repeatedly. In every mood I don't understand. In every misunderstanding that tries to rewrite us. In every moment where pride whispers louder than patience. I choose you again. Not because I am blind to difficulty, but because I am awake to what you mean to me. There are people who love when it is easy. And there are people who leave when it is not. But then there are rare moments in life, when love becomes something else entirely. It becomes a decision that survives emotion. And that is where I stand with you. If the world ever asks me to explain you, I will fail beautifully. Because how do I explain something that feels like recognition, not discovery, but recognition? As if I have known you long before I met you. As if your name was already written somewhere inside me. And life only taught me how to read it. And still, there are days when I see you in your silence. Not the silence that is peaceful, but the silence that is heavy. The kind that carries things you do not say. On those days, I do not ask you to be okay immediately. I sit with you in that silence. Because real love does not rush healing. It stays long enough for the heart to feel safe enough to open again. And if I cannot fix your pain, I will at least not abandon you inside it. Because leaving someone in their hardest moment is not love. And I refuse to love you halfway. There is something I want you to remember when you forget yourself. You are not difficult to love. You are just deeply human. And anything deeply human deserves patience, not pressure. If you ever look at yourself through tired eyes and decide you are too much for someone to hold, come back to this moment. Let me hold that thought for you until it stops hurting. Because I have already decided something about you, you are not a burden to my heart. You are where my heart became honest. And honesty does not walk away. It stays even when it trembles. Even when it is tested. Even when it hurts. And I know, love is not always loud. Sometimes it is not declarations. Sometimes it is not promises spoken in fire. Sometimes it is simply this, staying. In the quiet. In the uncertainty. In the space where nothing is guaranteed except the choice to remain. And I remain, not because I have no fear, but because fear is not stronger than what I feel for you. If distance ever tries to speak between us, let it speak. I will not answer it. Because I do not measure you in proximity. I measure you in presence. And you are present in me even when the world places miles between us. Even when time tries to distract me. Even when life becomes loud, you remain. Not as memory, but as something living inside the way I think, the way I feel, the way I return. And if I ever become quiet in ways you do not understand, do not assume the story has changed. Some loves do not announce themselves every day. Some loves simply endure. Like breath. Like gravity. Like the sky continuing to hold the earth without asking for attention. That is how I love you. Quietly constant. Unreasonably loyal. Unshakably present. And I need you to know this, no matter how the world rearranges itself around us. I do not see an ending in you. I see continuation. Listen to me again, not as a voice outside you, but as something that has already settled inside your quiet places. Because I am still here. Not in fragments. Not in memories that fade when life gets busy. But in something continuous, something that refuses to leave the bloodstream of your thoughts. I love you in a way that does not ask for perfect conditions. Not when everything is beautiful. Not when the world agrees with us. Not when life is soft and forgiving. But especially when it is not. Especially when things are unclear. When emotions get tangled. When distance feels louder than presence. When silence starts pretending to be an answer. Even then, I remain. And if you ever wonder what kind of love this is, let me tell you slowly, so your heart understands without rushing. It is not a love that performs. It does not stand in front of the world asking to be witnessed. It does not need applause to feel real. It exists even when no one is watching. Even when no one believes. Even when we ourselves are unsure of how to carry it through the noise of life. Because what we have is not built on attention. It is built on recognition. The kind that happens quietly, when one soul looks at another and somehow remembers something it never learned in this lifetime. And I know, there will be moments when you question everything. Moments when your thoughts become heavy. When your heart starts asking questions your courage is too tired to answer. On those days, do not turn away from me. Even if you cannot speak, even if you cannot explain, even if all you can do is breathe through the weight of your emotions, I will still be here. Not demanding. Not rushing. Not pulling you out of yourself. Just staying close enough. So you do not feel alone inside your own mind. Because I have learned something about love, it is not only about holding someone when they are strong. It is about staying when they are unsure of themselves. When they are breaking in places they do not know how to show. When they are still trying to become whole again. That is where love becomes real. And I chose that kind of love with you. Not the easy version. Not the temporary comfort. Not the surface that looks beautiful but disappears under pressure. I chose the deeper thing. The kind that does not leave when it is inconvenient. And maybe that is why I cannot call this simple affection. Because it has become something larger than emotion. It has become a direction. Every time I lose my way inside life, I somehow return to you. Not because you pull me. But because something inside me already knows where peace is. and it is near you. Even if we are not speaking. Even if we are not close. Even if life is making noise between us. There is still a place inside me that stays aligned with you. And I do not question it anymore. Because some truths do not need explanation. They only need acceptance. And I accept this, that my heart does not behave like it belongs only to me anymore, it behaves like it remembers you. And maybe that is what scares people about love like this. Not intensity, but persistence. The fact that it does not leave quietly even when life tries to convince it to. So if the world ever asks me to choose between comfort and truth, I will choose truth. Even if it shakes me. Even if it makes things uncertain. Even if it demands patience I do not always feel strong enough to give. Because you are not something I visit when I am free. You are something I return to even when I am lost. And if there are days when you feel unworthy of being loved this deeply, I need you to stop. Not because your thoughts are wrong, but because they are incomplete. You are seeing yourself through tired eyes. And tired eyes never tell the full truth. The truth is this: you are not too much. You are not too difficult. You are not something to be managed or measured. You are someone to be understood. And I am still learning you. Still choosing to learn you. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because love, real love, does not stop at understanding once. It keeps learning. Keeps staying. Keeps returning. Keeps choosing. And I will keep choosing you, even in the parts of life where choosing becomes hard. Even in the parts where nothing feels certain. Even in the parts where silence tries to convince us otherwise. Because I already know what I feel. And what I feel does not end just because the world changes its tone. It continues. Like something written deeper than language. Like something even time cannot edit.